Hello, dear Fox News. Your Honor, Judge Napolitano. The Fox Connecticut News and other networks, not your network alone, but you guys are recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with all kinds of database crimes, sequence shifts, falsified police reports, interbranch, individually grouped together, criminal uses of your location with Fox CT. No, right, with people with the clubs there. Now, see, these are people involved with various natures of child offenders, with courts, drug clicks, and with doctors forging names, switching names, pretending they had conversations with me behind my back. Through time, I never had a conversation at all with them, pretending I had a conversation about the CIA. For Russians with these people, one lady repeated she was Russian to me, to my family. There were other Russians recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them, with foreign and domestic families associated with police departments, with locations next to them, locations next to schools, all facilitated crime rolls with this Leahy family, a Dr. Leahy, a Brendan Leahy, and his son Brendan Leahy. They have women in their family that work with a triage place in Hartford Hospital. Other doctors from other triage I never was in, pretending he was a police of me, and these are people crimes with a principal child of sex offenders campus further, and with the police chief of my town 1 years ago was associated with the same house, criminally involved with three federal criminal co-defendants of former director of the FBI, also involved with you guys with police forms on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off that location, that garage there, with the people on and off houses on Two Rod High where it runs into Hangdog Lane, and Two Rod Highway, and where Two Rod Highway also runs into the Berlin Turnpike, like around there, those places recorded, confessed, involved through time with people with the intelligence community, with the congressional building, with the investigators with offensive evidence perception crimes tied to database crimes, identity thefts. See, uses of color originally and still recorded identity theft. It's disgusting to even have had to watch the awe of such a great guy, Barack Obama, have to speak about color. Distinctly and non-distinctly, Barack Obama and Donald Trump don't have free speech, even if they want to say they do. It's recorded they don't, and because they're lied to, and or they're lying, and you can't call them out on that because everyone's a liar at the same time, distinctly and non-distinctly, all victim predators. Forgiveness was for this. We don't have religious freedom because we have states and areas entrenched with pseudo-positive consciously, right where they need it to be the most, right with sustained places, with on-off CCSU, on-off Trinity College, with intelligence community, and with military, foreign and domestic, in collusion with foreign families, and with private. You can't value that private and defend the Constitution at the same time without being a liar, with physical delusion, self-value, interbranch, originally and still. American history is not hard. It's George. It's the value of the identity of the grounds ties to and as the value of Marbury versus Madison. And I don't see how I'm not a lawyer. I mean, this is a problem too, with lawyers recorded and confessed and demonstrated through time, used for fake sides of correlation nature, where they're making the identity of correlation. They're using even a method with, like, there's a Joshua Julian recorded, confessed, involved with the Facebook uses of roles with the child sex offenders, covering their live progressions. WFSB recorded spreading um, reporting on little kids' names, showing them crying, pretending it's about my Facebook posts. See, these are worse than extortion in various natures of markets and industries, because they're keeping opinion natures all abridged. And when someone needs to come through time, they've been hurting kids, and now I couldn't believe they wouldn't let that reported. Now I understand, because through time, in sickly distinctly, but not distinctly the same way. Sickly distinctly in the suburbs, the interbranch family members record, confess, and demonstrate how they're involved with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, physical delusions, and database crimes that are connected to time treatment. They're keeping age of correlation nature, fake sides of fact treatment nature. They're using the drug crimes. They're using methods and motivations and natures of drug crimes, even where they have, but they pretend they're about fact treatments. They put topics separated from each other. Meanwhile, they have K2 legalized in stores. Meanwhile, they have that involved with all kinds of natures of crimes on and off campuses sustained with the clubs next to police, like the policing of Yale College, Harvard clubs. You guys are out of your minds with psychology. You have physical delusions. With regards, would have opinion natures moderated by, you guys are with conspiracy theories, offensively stealing people's identities, preventing the surface of the Constitution, preventing, we go into courts, they're admitting, confessing, and recorded, they're forging names, switching names, attaching little kids and their family members to fake locations, fake ties to others. Sick people we have with badges, like this Detective Samuda, recorded and confessed, involved with various natures, like at least more than 3 female judges, crimes even with skin color. He's a black guy. He's involved with Confederate flag theme, Puerto Rican flag theme, Italian flag theme, all these flag themes, polarity natures, involved with criminal justice rackets, overt criminal enterprise, private ones, and with interbranch drug cliques needed to hide the same finite active body of value and progressive lives, sequence shifts, and natures of identity theft roles originally and still. That's what it is whenever they even entertain when they try to teach about what Jim Crow laws is. It's called a breaching organized crime method and exploiting the entrenched mechanism of it, all blaming the roles of what was entrenched, entertained, caused to that's valuing cause to the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures, blame to other things others themselves. That was not by accident. That's what divided the Native Americans A through Z from each other. Then they want to be nations too. They want to be natives like our founders had to do. Is either that or go worse, because they were going in phases. No one had free speech, but everyone's supposed to speak for positive anyway. And the method they had, a breaching of the organized crime method, using identity, using how all identities share that one nature of sequence nature, that is where all our identity, semi-natures, all the complete identities of our body are a semi-nature in relationship to identity nature's completely relationship to itself. And the Trinity is about this, because that is simultaneously expanding the value of its complete nature of relationship to all restive parts of space nature that is keeping positive to itself, including negative as a nature of positive, as criminal insidiousness nature is, fake positive. So Facebook was used for election crimes. Facebook was used for inter-network database crimes, criminal uses of the identity of the ground, all natures of criminal uses of police surveillance equipment, of time, locations, and relationship to it. And this is a fact treatment nature method through time, exploiting insights into the identities of the ground, originally and still all victim predator reactions because of time always too fast to each position of the human fact treatment nature is being used to exploit forever nature's integrity of what we need to say. Free speech is a leverage of logic, is with an integrity of logic that we have obfuscated by the experts on logic, recorded physical delusions wrought, forging names, switching names of doctors, crimes with their principal, with their prisoners and patients before they were in there, crimes with the courts that put them away before they were in there. Those crimes with the courts are also in a state stream. Their criminal uses of their standing life progression natures and their life progressions from there, of their misprision defenses of misprision, all fake liars of correlation nature, preventing free speech, preventing free sequence nature, preventing corrections of fake news that stole my identity, that is further involved with sustained fake care through kids, fake aggression righteous. They're spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises further with the interbranch family members that were criminally involved with the principal sex offenders campus. They're needing these guys to hide their life progressions in the background because they lied about me growing up to groups. And that was invested value by them because they're doing this with various natures of courts, people on and off the state judicial branch offices. We have real sick knaves interbranch originally and still using campuses, each age of campus through time criminally. I'm not trying to lie to you guys. I'm not, in other words, this is what we have. Passions and emotions conform. They're attaching me to fake words. They pretend I yelled at people because I caught them in the context of my father's death. They heard I lied. See, they never yelled at a person tied to them. They pretended other. See, because they couldn't, because I caught them with child offenders. But worse than that brought up to me. They use confessions for that. They use confessions to make it look like people in their misprision cliques. They're having to lie, valuing lie progressions because they have this tied to a crime method through time, recorded and confessed. Interbranch family members, especially these prison cliques tied to them. Forget about it. We need to shut down the departments at CCSU. In other words, we may have demonstration of this through time, how they're doing this. They're overtly, right, especially in urban areas where people are hurt the most by it, they're overtly the interbranch actors demonstrating that they're blaming the real causes of the overt criminal enterprises on other things other than themselves. They're valuing that because they're sick jobs. They're victim predators. Identities of value that are not values course. Our identity true is values course. So Facebook is involved with, in other words, influence this. All the standing online platforms are forced to rely on types of experts. Those types of experts are originally and still are defensive identities as misprision, as criminal insidiousness nature, standing, live progressions from those spots, styles, sensibilities, all kinds of natures, all about motivation, all things forward. Because they're liars offensively to themselves and others. Because all we need for instant evolution and what our nature agrees as a species, nature or volume is recorded. See, but it's not being allowed connection to what our nature's nature of relationship to itself is the secret of what causes evolution, its fruits and gifts. No, we change the human fact-cheating nature. We change everything. We're in recorded criminally foreign influence zoning laws, pathology of infrastructure involved with the fact-cheating nature, torture, and slavery of our founders. Now, this was not even understood. This is worse than obfuscated from the minds of Americans, and that worse than exploited and self-valued because we have sick experts on logic. So I'm going to teach everybody here which logic is about. How we have in our range of positive are three natures of volume: inherent, active, and progressive. And see, this is the order to the finite. This is smaller than the smallest thing. So its ideality and its add value as the value of the smallest thing. So the smallest thing has a nature of relationship to nature, and nature's value of relationship to itself as a perfect value progression. This is self-generation. This is not only the identity that inventions work or not in relationship to. They're further positive or not in relationship to it. This is how to cause evolution. The Santa Claus is about this. Saint Nicholas is about how the church is going to defend its position regarding the nature and treatments with nature of the law. And this is where the church hasn't had free speech since semi-ancient times. They've been sensibility natures, states and areas entrenched, for example, with religion, so they can pretend offensively they're for what they're at the same time simultaneously against, insidiously and overtly simultaneously, which is religious rights. They're holding them to physical delusions, the interpretations of the religions. They're holding the sensibilities of it, not let demonstrated for the fact-cheating nature quality, the convictions for us. In other words, we have that quality of fact-cheating nature for, if you're even entertaining Jim Crow, they put a theme with it. This is maintaining each age of fact, cheap in nature, not to think, only to plot and to value that, because they can't even fathom after, because they're losing what is very easy to understand, but you have to be, it's subtle. You have to follow what is true always and what is not. See, this is about organized crime regarding what was entrenched here, motivated all the roles to blaming things on other and others. It's because no one had free speech. Everyone had to keep moving as this is an identity. This is a retreat forced, and we're getting punched, and just to keep everyone beat, just keep everyone punching each other, making opinions that are worthless, making opinions about what other people say. And then they're pretending they don't realize because they're using Facebook for interbranch drug clicks to hide their life progressions, to hide their crimes with Washington, D.C., with Trade Center people, and then with the Trade Center attack criminally. And still with that, with the investigations of that, with the investigation of that criminally, just sensibility natures as victim predators to spots. Everyone speaking through and others, and that being exploited originally still. So I went to the New Britain Superior Court rather than they recorded and confessed every time we went there more federal crimes, forging names, switching names, falsified police reports, preventing anyone from seeing anything in writing, showing, pretending other by federal crime acts roles, threats and tortures and tricks, where you're simultaneously confessing and having confessed roles with falsified police reports, police putting me and other little kids to fake locations. We have sick men and women with their own kids. So they're using their own kids as crime tools to pretend that they didn't realize hiding lie progressions by spreading lies and rumors through them. They used the governor of Connecticut, Governor Malloy, involved with a community meeting, involved with the Facebook uses by the sex offenders. Now we have foreign and domestic family members further involved with criminal justice cliques, with sexual circles, real punk people that are in the background pretending things about other people's behavior. Of course, I'm going to use their name. They were used as, see, this is how you have to counter the courts, though, in the police forms, because they're using everyone criminally. Then those people, in other words, when I was a kid, they fake things. So in other words, they're pretending I'm having differences with people, which are true, but they're doing it worse than dishonestly because it's differences with them at the same time. I'm reporting interbranch crime acts with child offenders further tied to the principal sex offenders campus, further confessed and recorded with foreign and domestic doctors on off the Stoustein Middle School, with the private school next to it, owners of businesses next to it, owners of houses next to it involved, foreign and domestic doctors involved with all kinds of natures of formal drug crimes, other kinds of drug crimes, and uses of that. Because then they have the sensibility of people with crime methods that are perfected, where they have the sensibility they're going to hide things, and they couldn't fathom that people would make things up like that. They're just kidding, and then no one even could fathom how it's being exploited through time, because they're keeping the intelligence community and how other nations share that through time on off the campuses of each age. These are people involved with industries abridged, that self-valued, really what was the bonded all the overt criminal enterprises and the private ones together, and with the branches needing to hide, keeping them needing to hide the same finite active body of value and progressive lies, sequence shift styles, each age of fact, cheaping age, beginning with where and how they demonstrate and confess and record their crime acts roles and methods with overt criminal enterprise. Is also how they have standing needed and stayed undercover roles with them. The only reason they're existent is because they have fact cheaping nature rackets. We haven't had real science speak for our areas. They have that. They have the sensibilities. For example, that's what really consciously put the dump right on top of the river, and then put the worst part of entire even the suburbs, sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly tactically denatured relationship to nature, designed to cause negative value nature progressions, actions, natures. See, made Hartford as a this is comes to where George Washington is valued with the ground in relationship to James Madison's plan since before that, and then after that with Marbury versus Madison. And see, they didn't have free speech though. That's why George Washington had to leave entrenched with overt slavery with color in Connecticut right before the last battle of the war, even though he had the French general's help. They could only semi-counter extort what there and here had and still has nations forced group by nature, but then now forced still now self-value grouped other way. Nature is going to continue to demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, like predicate acts, like criminal insidiousness natures, wrongdoers, wrongdoing. This is common sense. I don't need to be a lawyer. It's recorded through time how they put lawyers for defense of fact should be nature for types of law. Oh, that's business, that's thing. They have all kinds of excuses, but they're not really following the law. They're not really as the people foremost originally still. This is what motivated people to roles with witch trials, pretend they believe things that they don't. This is what motivated them to worse than obfuscate what they know were recorded laws that were fact cheap in nature, slavery, real positive integrity, slavery laws against everyone. You had to pretend fake positive and or ignore that, per the sustained crime method, the breaching organized crime method. This came from semi-ancient times. This just reminds. So they have still consciously then and now criminally tricking people and influencing people only capable of to pretend that they can't discern that and how England had an identity then with a whole bunch of group nations that they weren't allowed to speak about because of shared policing, because of shared private and overt criminal enterprises, because of shared natures of military. There and here, originally still criminally foreign influenced. You know how many people? You know how many people with psychology, with the military, involved with them criminally, never even fought probably. And these are the people that pretend they're for that. In other words, they keep the VA. They keep, in other words, by keeping offensively punk fake, cheap defenses of things like the notions of what it means, what's respectful, what's not with terms. They're keeping that from being, in other words, the VA is with people stacking. The VA is with time treatments, torture to everyone to roles. Too fast, too slow, with all quality of fact treatment nature treatments. These are not our means. We have zoning laws recorded originally and still valued criminally foreign influenced. Roles with what causes negative value nature progressions, action nature. We have Facebook involved through administrations with election crimes, with identity theft rackets, with database crimes. There are a whole bunch of people with the Enzo Fienzo involved with Cromwell election crimes, Wethersfield election crimes, crimes with FBI, crimes with military, foreign and domestic, crimes with fake news, crime acts, identity thefts against me. These are people, crime acts with child sex offenders, crime acts on off the state judicial branch offices, men and women associated through time with that place, and on off the state judicial branch offices. One thing they all have in common is database crime rackets, drug crimes, pretending to be against that. These people are real sick. They don't care about people with putting people in jail for way less than even if they, especially kids, you put a kid in jail because they have drugs. They're the drug clicks at the branch using that to hide their life progressions. For other methods and natures of crime that are facilitated to standing needs to hide life progressions in relationship to each identity of the ground, relationship to each formal fact treatment nature value. Their standing life progression government. These are not our means. With these individually grouped and all together, not one person had been able to afford out of the pathology force since before cars with homes. That's glorified. That's because we have that not by accident glorified. Can't tell American history till you tell it from the ground here, where George Washington left slavery in the North. Because all that with the narratives with with the Civil War was not that wasn't just because they fought for something. In other words, they were still furthering it. They still had that entrenched here in the North while they had the Civil War going on. They don't know how to react because we're the only way to do it is as fact sheet in nature. The only way to liberate that is to understand the recorded how they already had entrenched all formal fact sheet in nature as standing lie progression cover up natures, as identity theft racket rolls, even Native Americans against Native Americans, because they were forced from the integrity of what they remembered. They were forced from identity of the ground's relationship to quality of fact sheet in nature. You know, they took everything from them. Not just to kill everyone. They need that was a breach. But they employed everyone to breaching roles, to opinion natures that can't defend themselves, and us from what exploits that. We need mandated law. We have Fox Connecticut Youth News being coached to hide the lie progressions and to hide the fake news, identity theft crime acts with themselves and with the people associated with the locations around them. Now look how it goes. The worst part of Hartford, most shootings are around the north end of Hartford. That part, little set off, that's polarity blocked by Fox CT News. There are Social Security doctors in places associated with the building there. There's a community college. Now these are people with physical delusions, recorded all kinds of drug crime rolls with these cliques, identity theft cliques. Now these are people involved with crimes with a whole bunch of houses on Church Street, with medical corruption, with doctors forged names, switched names with their family members, crimes with the campuses I went to, including the colleges and Central Connecticut State University. And those were the people involved with confessions I didn't understand when I was in the grammar school. Those are the same people still involved with crimes with the same grammar school, further with the child sex offender, with people with the various departments, the leaders of them, criminally involved at CCSU, other schools. Now this is maintained outcome by how the other nations involved with this maintain that the outcome. See now, this is what was their roles. Connecticut interbranch private leading up to and in the Trade Center attack with other nations, including the Muslims that are there and here. You know, victims just like the religions, victim predators that don't understand the religions because they have the campuses with conviction nature, fact sheet nature, quality that you can't defend that and us at the same time, including the Quran or the Old Testament. They're not letting sequence shifts, and what they're talking about, that the importance of valuing what they're demonstrating, the importance of valuing sequence, the importance of valuing and understanding the identity of positive, because there is a difference between what is positive to an identity of criminal insidiousness nature, like a wrongdoer, like an actor of a predicate act who now needs to hide lie progressions, now needs to have their actual nature in relationship to integrity's actual voice. So we have people interbranch crime methods quoting truths like statutes against things, but they're hiding the lies about how they have forced, way worse federal crimes. And they're making up those things too. They're pretending things are recorded as police forms. This is a maintained outcome there and here. This is tied to where and how they keep them incapable, having a quality of fact sheet nature to counter how they torture our people, like Otto Warmbier. Real or made up. I mean, I'm not saying it's made up. In other words, we have states and areas of sciences people, of military people, of titles that are ill. They're victims of since semi-ancient times, criminally denatured human fact sheet nature sciences. They're no longer using how we are the nature of volume with sequence true as the order and as the value of the smallest thing that we can't control because it's too small, because its identity is always smaller than small and always bigger than big at once. Right to left, it is always bigger than right we will ever be. Right to left to right, distinctly and non-distinctly too. Overall up, distinctly and non-distinctly too. Overall down, distinctly and non-distinctly too. And what this shows, distinctly and non-distinctly, is one identity's distinct and non-distinct relationship to itself as the perfect value progression. Allah's name was revealed to teach this. This is why and how Arabic helped save algebra. This is why Arabic helped save Christianity, from which couldn't defend itself because it didn't have control over the Campus Marcias, didn't have the control over the nature of the sciences, modern nations, semi-ancient nations, because everyone was taken from the method of science that valued how we are individual nature of volume, a group nature of volume, and our species nature of volume at once, because that's showing you the difference between temporary positive and lasting positive. Because temporary positive is in generation to itself by a bigger self, even bigger than the smallest part of ourselves. This is self-generating no matter what. But this is also what's going to cause evolution, or by connecting with its complete nature that's completely positive onto itself, or its complete nature that is completely going to push that away from here. Because this is from the difference of Earth's simultaneously distinct and non-distinct relationship to the rest of space nature. No, right, where 365 days can be a demonstration to us. This is a cross section of forever nature, which is infinity's identity, which is bigger than it. The same way ours is bigger than ourselves. Only the extent of it is debatable. It's not debatable that the extent of it now is also with the value of us from the past. So it's bigger than we are now. Fake branches bow. Please bow them down, justices. You guys have the rights. You guys must do this for yourselves. We must be Romulus together. Romulus is a scientific value. Alpha and Omega is not is only the discernment of temporary positive. Inherent to Alpha is an identity of relationship to identity itself that is either Romulus or Remus, unceasingly. This is how we are a quality of diffusion. And wherever Alpha is value, Omega is value. And wherever either Alpha or Omega can be discerned, Yin Yang can be discerned. Not one has learned. Correct? No disrespect. Fake branches fall below the wall. Please fix the fake news, you guys. Please fix them, Fox CT. I mean, Fox News. Please fix Fox CT. The other networks are criminally involved as well. Just if you guys help me at the national level, I'll give you, you guys can go into business with me, and they'll be obligated to tell the truth, and we could just take them out from the inside, and you could, handle the rest of your coming monetary damages for the games you guys are playing through the kids and through the parents, and with this Joshua Julian, and with this O'Brien family, through time spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises. Now there are foreign and domestic family members. One of them looked like on a Facebook that when they just took away my Facebook post, they put a face of a guy who looked like he may be one of the people involved with the Puerto Rican people involved with the Sammy Vega, with Confederate flag people involved with the child sex offenders, and with the principal sex offender, with the principal sex offenders campus further then and now, and intercampuses, intercities. These are people with foreign and domestic crimes with CCSU databases, with fake news crime acts, crimes with various natures of courts and their police forms and their fact-cheating natures, their family members. This is what keeps the negative value nature progressions acts and natures blamed all the things others themselves. So we have Confederate flag theme involved with this too, because this is also fake news at the CNN level. They're also recorded, confessed, involved with FBI, with CIA, family members in the area, involved criminally with Facebook, with the child sex offenders, proven and further recorded. They're also lying about what's recorded on Facebook because of the interbranch rape threats and confessions regarding their roles with the principal sex offenders campus when they forced it criminally. And in other cases where they forced people not to tell on things by arresting people, faking the arresting officers. All kinds of tricks in databases, making the arrest delayed with a false a promise to appear given through someone else. They're speaking through others since I was a kid with the same people involved with the crime acts at Trinity College and at CCSU, but from off the campuses. They have the family members interbranch tied to it, foreign tied to it. But see, in other words, they're from off campuses using the sensibility of everyone being lied to in the background, being facilitated to federal crime roles, identity theft crime act roles. They're name stacking like a whole bunch of women with the name Alicia, girls, since they were girls, abused of various ways. So these are Washington, D.C. Trade Center clicks tied to CCSU through time and with programs with each age of nature of courts and things like that. These are real names. They're keeping, they're victim predators of recorded criminally foreign influence science is also delusions wrought to maintain that self-value. See, we haven't had anyone speak for logic honestly. We haven't had anyone speak for mandated law, obviously, honestly. So we've had offensively fake evidence fabrication natures, high predators using courts, using police forms to prevent people from speaking things consciously. They're using they're torturing, they're involved with tortures and evidences crimes against Paul Manafort, against Russia, against Ukraine at the same time because their roles with wire crime rackets, wire crime methods associated with UPS, associated with whoever had they do tricks with they make happen too with what is it called, cordless phones, all things because these are database, a whole bunch of database crime method roles because then it's live regressions from there. They're exploiting the identity of the ground. I'll gather around. So we have forging names, switching name judges, including women judges, whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of natures of federal crime roles with men and women real sick with campuses through time, each age of campus connected, the same campuses, and it's a method that's through time connected. That's why it's not just. That's where we have to deal with the rest of the recorded and confessed foreign and domestic families, overt criminal enterprises, people associated with state police forms, other police forms, associated with forensics clicks, associated with a whole bunch of federal criminals involved with a Phil Collo, further involved with the principal sex offenders campus, with his kids and with his extended family members with identity thefts, for pretending conversations with me, with people with their database crime roles, drug crime roles when I was a kid. And with these two Mendes police involved with Fox Connecticut News criminally, used to pretending that courts give people the right to respond to things written. They don't write. They put a charge and they show how they're putting lies with it and sequence shifts with it and preventing people from speaking through. Since I was a kid, this is worse than extortion. We need real fast. We need responding reliefs too because of the uses of Facebook so insidiously for the interstates. People real criminal with the campuses on off them, pretending it's just undercover. These are real sick natures. They should not dream in their head that they're going to pretend I'm against prejudice because I want the Confederate flag people theme with them. I want them to see that we have sick fakes that can't pretend they're about integrity, but they have to rely on a badge. They can't even speak English. They can't even speak their own language, but as sick fakes. Now CT breaks. Fall! Well,